Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a quiet revolution that's shaking up construction sites everywhere. And it all comes down to a series of incredibly tough engineering trials known as the Gauntlet. So let's start with a simple but kind of powerful question. What if a cement truck could actually be silent? I mean, really think about that for a second. That one question is the spark that's starting to reshape heavy industry, challenging everything we've come to expect. The constant engine roar, the exhaust fumes, and all that wasted fuel. But to really appreciate how brilliant the solution is, we first have to get our hands dirty and understand the concrete problem it was designed to solve. Okay, so on the left, you've got your old school traditional diesel mixer. And look, it's a workhorse for sure. But man, is it inefficient. It's just guzzling fuel 24/7 just to keep that drum turning, even when it's sitting idle on a job site. It's incredibly loud, and those complex hydraulic systems, they're a constant maintenance headache. This is the challenge the engineers set out to conquer. So now let's meet the new contender. The solution is a really elegant piece of engineering, a 400-volt hybrid system that's designed to tackle every single one of those problems head-on. The real heart of this new machine is something called the ePTO, or electric power takeoff. What it does is completely replace that clunky, inefficient hydraulic system. So instead of the truck's diesel engine having to power the drum, a high-voltage battery and a super precise electric motor do all the work. And that one simple change, well, it has absolutely massive consequences. But look, an idea on a whiteboard is one thing. Proving it can actually survive the brutal reality of a construction site, that's a whole other ballgame. And that's exactly where the Gauntlet comes in. It's this incredibly rigorous, data-driven process designed to turn cool new tech into a tool you can actually trust. So the system had to survive 4 totally distinct trials. We're talking tests for pure efficiency, for the quality of the concrete mix itself, for just sheer, raw toughness on the job, and, of course, maybe most importantly, for operator safety. Each one of these was designed to push this truck to its absolute limit. First up, efficiency. Just look at the difference in this chart. The bar on the left, that's your traditional truck, just sitting there idling, burning fuel for basically no reason. The ePTO system on the right, the engine is off. It's just sipping power from the battery. That's an immediate drop of over 30% in energy consumption. That is a huge win for both costs and emissions. Next, they tested the quality of the mix. Now, the system was graded on this very technical-sounding thing called the mortar density variation coefficient, and it scored less than 0.8%. Okay, so what on earth does that actually mean? Well, it's a fancy way of asking, how perfectly is the concrete mixed? Think of it like you're making a cake batter. You don't want any weird lumps or pockets of dry flour, right? A number this low means you're getting near-perfect uniformity from the first scoop to the last. And that's not just nice. It directly leads to stronger, more reliable, and ultimately much safer buildings. Then came the toughness trial. And the first test was just brutal. They asked, could this electric motor restart a fully loaded 12 cubic meter mixer weighing tens of thousands of pounds while stopped on a ridiculously steep 30% grade? The answer was a definitive yes. No problem, no system failures, didn't even hit its torque limits. And to really push its durability, they put it through a relentless 4-hour stress test in scorching 40 degrees Celsius heat. We're talking 104 degrees Fahrenheit. And it just kept performing, continuously, without overheating or losing any power. It proved it can handle the absolute toughest summer days you could throw at it. Toughness isn't just about raw power. It's also about being smart. So to simulate a jam, they stalled the drum on purpose. And get this, the system's protection logic kicked in less than 1 second, preventing any damage to the motor or the gearbox. Now that is some smart preventative engineering. And finally, we get to the most important trial of all, safety. This whole system meets the super rigorous ISO 26262 functional safety standard. Let me just walk you through what's happening. A safety gate is opened for cleaning. Then an operator tries to start the drum, but the system's high-voltage interlock instantly denies the command. The drum just stays put. It's a simple foolproof sequence that makes it physically impossible for the drum to rotate when it shouldn't. So after this thing survived every single challenge the Gauntlet could possibly throw at it, the raw data came back. And it delivered a very clear and completely undeniable verdict. It was a clean sweep. Just look at the final scorecard. The system didn't just pass, it absolutely excelled in every single category. It met or, in many cases, blew right past every performance metric the engineering team set. Pass, 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 and pass. Incredible. And all of that translates into a huge real-world advantage. This isn't just about being a little greener. Its near-silent operation completely changes the game for urban construction. It opens the door for working at night or during off hours in noise-sensitive areas that used to be totally off-limits. This is a tool that literally creates new ways to make money. So after walking through this whole exhaustive process, what's the ultimate takeaway? What does this all really mean at the end of the day? Ultimately, this all comes down to one single word: trust. The gauntlet wasn't just about proving that the technology worked. It was about building a solid foundation of trust using objective, quantifiable data. It proved this new tool isn't just different, it's demonstrably better in every single way that matters. And that really leaves us with a final thought to chew on. Now that we've seen how this intense, data-driven approach has created a revolutionary cement mixer, you have to ask, what other piece of heavy machinery, from garbage trucks to giant mining equipment, is next in line for its own quiet revolution?